1 of the Firearms Control Act 60 of 2000, discharge of a firearm in a build-up area or any public place. Charge reads, my lady, in that during January 2013 and at Tasha's restaurant Melrose Arch in the district of Johannesburg, the accused unlawfully discharged a firearm with a Glock 27 pistol without any good reason to do so. Tasha's restaurant is a public place.
You've heard the charge that was just read out. Do you understand the charge?
I do, my lady.
How do you plead?
Not guilty, my lady.
There's an alternative to count 3, a first alternative, my lady. Contravention of section 123A of the Firearms Control Act number 60 of 2000. That the accused is guilty of the offence of contravening the provisions of section 123A, read with sections 1, 103, 121A, section 121, read with schedule 4 and section 151 of Firearms Control Act 60 of 2000, negligent damage to property. In that, on or about January 2013, and at the near Tasha's restaurant Melrose Arch in the district of Johannesburg, the accused negligently used a firearm to wit a Glock 27 pistol and caused damage to the floor of the restaurant.
Do you understand the alternative count?
I do, my lady.
How do you plead?
Not guilty, my lady.
Lady, there's a second alternative to count 3. Contravention of section 123B of the Firearms Control Act number 60 of 2000. That the accused is guilty of the offence of contravening the provisions of section 123B, read with sections 1, 103, 121A, section 121, read with schedule 4 and section 151 of the Firearms Control Act 60 of 2000, reckless endangerment. In that, on or about January 2013, and at or near Tasha's restaurant Melrose Arch in the district of Johannesburg, the accused discharged a firearm to wit a Glock 27 pistol at the table in the restaurant amongst other patrons in a manner likely to endanger the safety of the people at his table and or other patrons and the property of the restaurant. The accused had, in discharging the firearm that was mentioned, shown a reckless disregard for the safety of the patrons or property of the restaurant.
Do you understand the count?
I do, my lady.
How do you plead?
Not guilty, my lady.
Thank you.
My lady, and then finally count 4. Contravention of section 90 of the Firearms Control Act number 60 of 2000. That the accused is guilty of the offence of contravening the provisions of section 90, read to section 1, 103, 117, 121A, section 121, read with the schedule 4 and section 151 of the Firearms Control Act 60 of 2000, and further read with section 250 of the Criminal Procedure Act 51 of 1977, possession of ammunition related. It reads, in that, on or about 16 February 2013, and at or near 286 Bushfellow Street, Silverwoods Country Estate, Silver Lakes, in the district of Pretoria, the accused that unlawfully have in his possession ammunition to wit 38.38 rounds without being the holder of a license in respect of the firearm capable of discharging the ammunition, a permit to possess ammunition, C, a dealer's license, manufacturer's license, gunsmith license, import, export, or in transit permit, or a transporter's permit issued in terms of the Act, or D, or is otherwise authorized to do so. Right, that's count 4, and that completes the indictment.
Yes. How do you understand count 4?
I do, my lady.
How do you plead?
Not guilty, my lady.
Not guilty. Mr. Roo, is this in accordance with your instruction?
That is indeed so. Thank you, my lady.
Any explanation of
My
plea?
lady, Mr. Oldwaits will do the read the explanation into the record.
Thank you very much.
My lady, with the court's leave, I propose to hand up 3 original versions of the section 115 plea explanation,
Yes.
which have been signed, as you will note, on the last page of the document by our client. I will also favour the state with a copy of this very same document.
Yes, please proceed. Yes, you may
With your
proceed.
ladyship's leave, might I then proceed to read it into the record?
Yes.
I'm indebted. in the High Court of South Africa, Gauteng Division, Pretoria, case number CC 113/13, in the matter between the State and Oscar Leonard Carl Pistorius, the accused. Explanation of plea in terms of Section 115 of Act 51 of 1977. I, the undersigned Oscar Leonard Carl Pistorius, hereby furnish the following explanation of plea with reference to the charges to which I plead not guilty. At count 1, murder, read with the provisions of Section 51, subsection 1 of Act 105 of 1977. Paragraph 1. In its formulation of this count, the State has contended that I unlawfully and intentionally killed Reva Steenkamp, hereinafter referred to as Reva. Paragraph 2. This allegation is denied in the strongest terms. In fact, at the time of the tragic accident which led to Reva's death, we were in a loving relationship. Paragraph 3. Whilst I admit that I inflicted the fatal gunshot wounds to Reva, this occurrence was indeed an accident in that I had mistakenly believed that an intruder or intruders had entered my home and posed an imminent threat to Reva and me. Paragraph 4. In my application for bail, I concisely dealt with the events of 14 February 2013. I am advised that I will have an opportunity to deal with a comprehension version of the events when I testify. For purposes of my plea explanation, I emphasize the following. Paragraph 4.1. During the early hours of the morning, I brought 2 fans in from the balcony. I had shortly before spoken to Reva, who was in bed beside me. 4.2. Unbeknown to me, Reva must have gone to the toilet and the bathroom at the time when I brought in the fans, closed the sliding doors, and drew the blinds and the curtains. 4.3. I heard the bathroom window sliding open. I believe that an intruder or intruders had entered the bathroom through the bathroom window, which was not fitted with burglar bars. 4.4. I approached the bathroom armed with my firearm so as to defend Reva and I. At that time, I believed Reva was still in the bed. 4.5. The discharging of my firearm was precipitated by a noise in the toilet, which I, in my fearful state, knowing that I was on my stumps, unable to run away or properly defend myself physically, believed to be the intruder or intruders coming out of the toilet to attack Reva and me. Paragraph 5. I respectfully believe that the State has no basis whatsoever for alleging that I wanted to take Reva's life. I will demonstrate hereunder that notwithstanding the fact that all the objective evidence will corroborate my version of the events, the State has embarked on a strategy to rely on unsubstantiated allegations in an endeavor to prove that I wanted to kill Reva. Paragraph 6. The strategy was also employed at my bail application. I will hereunder concisely deal with some of the material aspects to support my contention herein. Paragraph 7. At my bail application, the State, inter alia, contended that I deliberately shot Reva whilst I was positioned at a distance of about 1.5 meters from the toilet door, and whilst I was standing on my prosthesis. The allegation with reference to 1.5 meters and me wearing my prosthesis was clearly designed to suggest that I had pursued Reva to the toilet and that I therefore knew that Reva was in the toilet. Thus, that I did not entertain any fear at a time when it is alleged that I entered the bathroom. Paragraph 8. The State has also, by means of the evidence of the then investigating officer Hilton Botha, sought to rely on a statement by a witness who I am told is a certain Estelle van der Merwe, who claims to have heard what sounded like a woman's voice prior to the shooting, talking non-stop like fighting. The witness did not say that the alleged talking came from Reva, nor that the sound so mentioned emanated from my house. Paragraph 9. The statement, it would appear, offered an opportunity for the State to contend at the bail hearing that there may, and this is a quote, my lady, there may have been an argument between the applicant and the deceased, and the evidence might point in that way, unquote. This witness has since deposed to a further statement which materially contradicts her first statement, In the further and better particulars, the state disavows reliance on the first statement. The state has also conceded in the further and better particulars that they are not aware of any of the detail regarding, in brackets, the alleged argument, and that it may become clear during the trial. Paragraph 10. Van der Merwe's house is located approximately 105 meters from my bedroom, with my bedroom and bathroom windows facing in the opposite direction to Van der Merwe's house. It would not have been possible for Van der Merwe to have heard anyone talking from my bedroom in their bedroom. The state is furthermore in possession of statements by a number of witnesses, including witnesses resident in either the estate where I reside or in an adjacent estate. None of these witnesses claim to have heard any argument between Riva and I, nor any woman's voice talking prior to the shooting, notwithstanding the fact that two of the witnesses, open brackets, who live in closer proximity to my house than Van der Merwe, close brackets, were awake at the time when Van der Merwe alleged that she had heard a woman's voice. Paragraph 11. I refer to the above as the state now alleges, and the further particulars provided, that there was, in fact, an argument between Riva and I, and that I killed Riva, in quotes, because of the argument, unquote. I am unable to comprehend on what basis the state, brackets at the bail application, close brackets, could only rely on a possibility of an argument between Riva and I, and now, with even less available evidence, brackets, by disavowing Van der Merwe's first statement, close brackets, allege that there was in fact an argument, and that I shot Riva, in quotes, because of the argument, unquote. Paragraph 12. I deny this allegation and reiterate that there is no justification, whether legally or factually, for this unfair and incorrect allegation to have been made. The aforesaid allegation is also not supported by any of the statements disclosed to me by the state. Paragraph 13. Furthermore, contrary to what was contended for by the state during the bail application, the state has now conceded that it cannot be contended as a fact that I was about 1.5 meters from the toilet door and that I had my prosthesis attached at the time when I discharged the firearm anymore. Paragraph 14. The unfair approach adopted by the state is further evident from the evidence given by Hilton Botha at the bail application, whose evidence will be demonstrated to have been false in material respects. More particularly, that it was designed to falsely incriminate me on an allegation of premeditated murder. It will also be demonstrated during this trial that whilst Botha was the investigating officer and tasked with preserving the scene, that the scene was contaminated, disturbed, and tampered with. This feature of the state's case will be dealt with when Botha, amongst others, gives evidence. Paragraph 15. I have been led to understand that it is unusual to challenge the state's case in my plea explanation to the extent that I do herein. However, I am left with no alternative but to explain my innocence with reference to the allegations leveled against me. The foregoing will be exposed by having regard to the state's intended approach in this trial. This approach is to not only seek to unfairly draw inferences from purported statements of fact, which are not supported by the objective facts, but also, by virtue of the statements disclosed to me by the state, to seek to introduce inadmissible character evidence under the guise that such inadmissible evidence would be admissible similar fact evidence, to demonstrate that there was an alleged nexus between the brackets, inadmissible, close brackets, character evidence and the brackets, non-existing, close brackets, argument, which allegedly led to me killing Riva. Paragraph 16. I am furthermore advised that, as the state is aware of the fact that it has no evidence to prove an alleged argument, and in particular in view of the fact that the state has conceded that it does not know what the features or import of such alleged argument would have been, the only intended purpose of an attempt to introduce inadmissible character evidence would be to engineer and bring about an inadmissible attempted assassination of my character. I am advised that during the conduct of the trial, my legal representatives will object to the introduction of such inadmissible character evidence on the basis as stated above. Paragraph 17. I respectfully state that no truthful evidence can ever be tendered that I fired the shots, and I quote, because of the argument, unquote. I deny this allegation in the strongest terms because there was no argument. Paragraph 18. The allegation that I wanted to shoot, brackets, or kill, close brackets, Riva, cannot be further from the truth. Add count 2. Contraventions of section 120, subsection 7 of the Firearms Control Act number 60 of 2000. Alternatively, to count 2, a contravention of section 120, subsection 3, subparagraph B of the Firearms Control Act number 60 of 2000, and paragraph 19. The allegations as formulated in the indictment with reference to this count and the alternative count thereto are denied. Add count 3. Contravention of section 120, subsection 7 of the Firearms Control Act number 60 of 2000. The first alternative to count 3, contravention of section 120, subsection 3, subparagraph A of the Firearms Control Act number 60 of 2000, as well as the second alternative to count 3, contravention of section 120, subsection 4, subparagraph A of the Firearms Control Act number 60 of 2000, as per paragraph 20. I admit that whilst I was in possession, as alleged, a shot went off. Save as aforesaid, the remaining allegations as contained in this count are denied. Add count 4. Contravention of section 90 of the Firearms Control Act number 60 of 2000, as contained in paragraph 21. I admit that at all times relevant to this count, I had not been issued with a license to possess .38 caliber rounds of ammunition. Save as aforesaid, the remaining allegations as contained in this count are denied. It assesses that then the plea explanation as envisaged in terms of section 115 of the Criminal Procedure Act, the statement before you with respect has been signed by my client. He will no doubt
Thank you very much. Mr. Pistorius, do you confirm the explanation is read out?
I confirm, my lady.
Thank you very much.
Maybe
Exhibit
because post-mortem. Of prostate exhibits is it clear? Here. These shooting incident. If there's a force accused also around that in
The root admit
the place nothing sees in the state in the two people they know there is substantial evidence neighbors we also to be today the essential evidence that be lady and this video that
is un- this should not
good
else.
order that also in the overflow court the witness's face is not shown.
The overflow, they're hearing us, aren't they?
The overflow court can hear us, my lady,
The-
yes.
The part of these
Yeah,
proceedings.
indeed, my lady.
Yes. So it does apply. I do order that the face of this witness should not be shown.
As a good bit.
Yes. Is there anything else?
That's it.
No, that's it. Thank you.
She testifies in Afrikaans, Your Ladyship. Volle naam en voor.
Michelle Burger?
Enige besorgd in die afloop van die voorgeskrewe eed?
Nee,
Beskou u dit bindend op u gewete?
is reg.
Sweer u dat die getuienis wat u gaan aflê die waarheid, die volle waarheid en niks anders as die waarheid sal wees nie? Steek op u regterhand en sê so help my God.
So help my God.
My lady,
You may be seated if you so wish.
we will lead the witness in English, the witness would respond in Afrikaans. That. Are you comfortable? Madam, what business are you in?
Ek's 'n dosent by die Universiteit van Pretoria.
I'm a lecturer at the University of Pretoria.
In which department, madam?
U edele, ek is by die departement konstruksie-ekonomie,
I'm at the Department Construction
economics.
Economics.
Madam, the accused before court is Mr. Oscar Pistorius. Do you know him?
U edele, ek het hom nog nooit ontmoet nie, ek ken hom nie.
My lady, I've never met him before.
Before this incident, madam, did you know where he stayed?
U edele, ek het geweet hy woon in die Silverwoods estate, maar ek het nie geweet waar nie.
I did know that he was staying in the Silverwoods estate, but I did not know where.
Madam, on the 14th of February 2013, where did you stay?
U edele, ek woon in Silverstream landgoed in Pretoria. Ek het daar gewoon op daardie datum en ek woon steeds daar.
My lady, I stayed in the Silverstream estate on that date, and I am still staying there.
And who shares the house with you, madam?
U edele, my man, Charles Peter Johnson, woon saam met my.
It's my husband, Shaul Peter Johnson. He stays with me.
How long have you been staying there, madam?
U edele, ons het in 2011 ingetrek.
We moved in 2011, my lady.
Now, your estate and the Silverwoods estate, are they next to each other?
Ja, dis aangrensend tot mekaar. My huis is teen die grens van die Silverwoods landgoed in Silverstream estate.
Yes, they are next to each other. Huis grenzen.
Ja.
My house is
Adjacent.
next to the border of the Silverstream and the Silverwoods estate.
Now, madam, this matter deals with an incident that happened on the 14th of February 2013, early morning hours. You know that.
Yes, I do.
Now, on the evening of 13 February 2013, was anything special at your house, madam?
Edele, dit was 'n aand soos enige ander aand gewees. Ek en my man was by die huis gewees. Ons het aandete geëet, ek het kos voorberei en ons het gewone tyd gaan slaap wat gewoonlik tussen 9 uur en 10 uur is.
Just 1 minute. Give Miss Boshen time to interpret. Yes.
My lady, it was an evening like any other evening. We were at home. We ate dinner. I prepared food, and we went to bed at our normal hours, which is between 9 and 10.
Then, madam, what happened?
Edele, net na 3 die oggend het ek wakker geword van 'n vrou se verskriklike gille.
My lady, just after 3, I woke up from a woman's terrible screams.
Ek het regop gesit in die bed en my man het ook wakker geword van die gille.
I sat upright in bed, and my husband also woke up from the screams.
My man het opgespring en balkon toe gehardloop.
My husband jumped up and went to the balcony.
Ek het nog in die bed bly sit. Ek het haar gille gehoor.
I was still sitting in the bed, and I heard her screams.
En sy het hom opgeroep en toe na dit
You'd have to slow down a little bit.
Okay.
You're still sitting on the bed, yes?
You were saying?
U edele, sy het verskriklik gegil en toe het sy om hulp geroep.
She screamed terribly and she yelled for help.
U edele, en toe hoor ek 'n man ook om hulp roep. Hy het 3 keer help geskree.
Then I also heard a man screaming for help, and he
Hy het 3 times.
3 times he yelled for help.
Yes, and then?
U edele, ek sê toe vir my man, ek skree vir hom met help nie, hy staan op die balkon nie. Hy moet terugkom na die kamer toe, dat ons sekuriteit kan ontbied.
I then told my husband that it doesn't help him standing on the balcony. He must come back into the room, and that we should call the security.
Yes.
U edele, my man het toe teruggekom en ek het my selfoon is langs die bed. Ek het toe my selfoon gevat en ek het security op die foon gedruk.
My husband came back into the room. My cell phone was next to my bed. I took my cell phone and then I dialed for security.
And you dialed security. What did you do with your phone?
U edele, ek het dit toe vir my man gegee dat hy kan praat met die sekuriteit, want ons is in Silverstream estate en ek het gedink ek moet Silverstream sekuriteit bel sodat hulle Silverwoods kan ontbied en sê daar's 'n huisaanval, mense geval in huis, want dis wat ons gedink het as gevolg van die gille.
Okay, let's get that.
I gave my phone to my husband so that he can speak to them because we stay in Silverstream estate, and I thought that our security should call Silverwoods estate to tell them that there was an attack in a house there.
My man het toe op die foon gepraat en vir die sekuriteit persoon wat was aan die ander kant was verduidelik. Mense word langsaan aangeval. Hulle moet asseblief gaan kyk.
My lady, my husband talked on the phone and explained to the security that there are people next door being attacked and that they should go there.
My man het toe die storie herhaal, want die sekuriteit op die foon het toe die foon vir iemand anders te gegee. En my man het die hele storie toe herhaal, gesê van die aanval in die huis.
My lady, my husband repeated the story because the phone was given to another person, so my husband repeated the story and explained that someone is being attacked in a house.
Yes. Your husband repeated the story and what happened then?
Die edele, hy het toe vir my gesê, dis Troebenkop sekuriteit. Dis sekuriteitsnommer wat ons gebel het, dis 'n plek waar ons voorheen gewoon het en hy die foon neergegooi.
He then told me that it's Troebenkop security. It's the security of a place where we previously said it's the wrong security and he dropped the phone.
Die edele, my man het teruggehardloop na die balkon toe. Ek sit nog steeds in die bed. En toe hoor ek weer haar gille. En dit was erger as voorheen. Dit was meer intens.
Okay.
My husband then ran back to the balcony. I was still sitting in bed. I heard her screams again. It was worse. It was more intense.
Yes.
Die edele, sy was vreesbevange geweest. Dit is die ergste, dit was soos 'n klimaks. Ek het haar angs gehoor en ek het geweet iets gaan kom. Iets verskrikliks gebeur in daardie huis.
Apologies, my lady. May I ask her to just repeat what you said?
Please repeat.
Kan jy net vir my herhaal?
You were saying the screams were more intense, and then
it was a climax. She was very scared. It was screams that was a climax.
Okay. And what happened then?
U edele, na haar gille, enkele oomblikke nadat die skote geklap, daar was 4 skote gewees. Die tyd tussen die eerste en die tweede skoot was 'n bietjie langer as tussen die tweede en die derde en die derde en die vierde skoot.
Just after her scream, my lady, I heard 4 shots. It was 4 gunshots that I heard. The time between the first and the 4th shot was much longer than between the second and the third one.
There were 4 shots. You said the first. Could you perhaps give us a demonstration by using bum?
Dit was edele byvoorbeeld gewees, bang, 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 bang. Daar was 'n groter pose tussen 1 en 2 as tussen 2 en 3 en 3 en 4.
There was a longer pause between number 1 and 2 than between number 2 and 3 and 3 and 4.
Edele, ek wil ook vir die hof net sê, ek was nie met 'n stopperlosie daar nie, maar ek kan sê die tyd tussen nommer 1 en 2 was langer as tussen 2 en 3 en 3 en 4.
My lady, I was not there with a stopwatch, but I can tell the court that the pause between 1 and 2 was much longer than number 2 and between number 2 and 3 and 3 and 4.
And what happened then after the shots, madam?
Edele, my man het toe teruggekom na die kamer toe. Ek was nog steeds in die bed waar ek gesit het.
My lady, my husband returned then from the balcony and I was still sitting in bed.
Edele, ek sê toe vir my man, ek hoop nie daai vrou het nou net gesien hoe haar man voor haar doodgeskiet is nie. Want ons het hom nie weer gehoor na hy help geskree het nie, so ek het gedink hy's dalk geskiet.
Then I told my husband that I do not hope that that woman saw her husband being shot in front of her, because after he screamed for help, we did not hear him again.
What happened after that, madam?
Edele, ek was maar dit in mekaar aand, ek het gelê, ek was wakker en ek het geslaap. Ek het opgestaan die volgende oggend soos gewoonlik.
My lady, it was a confusing evening because I was sleeping and then I was awake and then I sleeping again, and then the next morning I woke up again, or I got up again.
My normal time.
My normal time, I woke up.
Edele, ek het toe klaar gemaak om werk toe te gaan. My man was besig onder om opmetings te doen. Hy het gedink hy moet ons sekuriteit opskerp weens die huisaanval.
I was preparing for work and my husband was upstairs doing measurements because he thought that he should have to increase our security because of the attack in the house.
Ek wil net duidelik maak, my man was nie bo besig om opmetings te doen nie. Hy was op, maar besig om opmetings te doen in die huis.
My apologies, my lady. My husband was not upstairs. He was up and was busy doing measurements in the house.
Madam, before we continue, can you just have a look at this file? And if you have a file with you, you can open an F.
How do you refer to this file?
Indeed, my
How do you
lady.
identify it?
It's Exhibit F, my lady. It's photographs. I'll refer the witness to that.
Just give us 1 minute. Get this out. Yes, we've got
That's good. Please, ma'am, could you please page to 921, slide 921. Is there? Well, ladies, simultaneous with the reference to the exhibit, it will be screened on all the different screens in court as well.
Thank you.
Madam, having regard to that aerial photograph 921, can you confirm where your house is?
Edele, ek kan.
Milady, I'll just put on record, the witness is pointing towards a roof just above 46A Trevor Crescent. The roof she's referring to is just above the T
Yes, I
of
see
Trevor
that.
Crescent.
Yes.
Is that correct?
Edele, dis korrek.
That is correct.
And if looking at the photograph and just look at the numbers, the 191 and 193 would be in what estate would they be? The estate next door.
Edele, dit sal in Silver Woods wees want ons is teen die grens van Silverstein.
It would be in Silver Woods because we are just next to the border of Silver Woods.
Let us then go to photograph 930, 930. Are you there, madam?
Edele, ek is daar.
Does it look
Yes.
familiar?
Ja, dit is my balkon daai.
Yes, it's my balcony.
Yeah. If we just explain to the court, you in your evidence said your husband went to the balcony. Which balcony did you refer to?
Edele, dis hierdie balkon op hierdie foto.
I'm referring to this balcony on this photo.
Now, the house you're staying in, is it a 1 or 2 story house?
Edele, dis 'n dubbelverdieping huis.
It's a two-story house.
And this balcony is on which floor?
Edele is op die boonste verdieping.
It's on the top level.
There is a little red arrow. Does that look familiar to you?
Ja, Edele, dit is wat ek verstaan meneer Oscar Pistorius se huis is, die badkamer van sy huis.
Yes, from what I understand, that is where Mr. Oscar Pistorius' house is. His
Bathroom.
bathroom.
Let's just turn the page to 931. Does that view, does it look familiar to you?
Ja, Edele, dit is ook van my balkon afgeneem.
Yes, that was also taken from my balcony, my lady.
And you confirm the red arrow again.
Die Edele, dit is meneer Oscar Pistorius se huis.
My lady, that is Mr. Oscar Pistorius' house.
And number 932, madam.
Die Edele, ek verstaan dit is die badkamer venster van meneer Pistorius se huis.
If you're on the balcony, could you see that specific house?
Ja, Edele.
Yes.
Madam, now your bedroom, on which floor of the house is that?
Edele, my slaapkamer is op die boonste verdieping en die vensters kyk uit na die Silver Woods landgoed toe.
My bedroom is on the second level, and the windows
Face out. Face towards.
face towards the Silver Woods estate.
Now, do you have windows in your room?
Edele, ek het slaapkamervensters wat waarwyd oop was want ons het nie 'n ligreëling of 'n dakwaaier nie.
My lady, I had bedroom windows which was wide open because we do not have air conditioning in the bedroom
Or 'n fan.
or a fan.
We will carry on with the evidence of what happened the next day. I just want to go back to the screams you've heard. Did that have any effect on you?
Eerder, dit was verskriklik traumaties geweest. Die angs was bloedstollende gille geweest. Dis die tipe ding wat jou koud laat. Jy kan dit nie mooi oordra aan iemand nie. Dit was verskriklik. Die angs in haar stem.
It was very traumatic for me. You could hear that it was blood-curdling screams, and
Dit laat jou koud. Jy kan dit nie lekker doen. You can't translate it in words.
it leaves you cold. You can't translate it in work. The anxiousness in her voice
Fear.
and fear.
Let us then carry on. You said the next day you got up normal time. When you got up, did you know what happened?
Die edele, ek het nie geweet. Ek het gedink is 'n huisbraak. Ek was oortuig ek en my man, mense is aangeval in hulle huis in Silverwoods. Dis wat ons gedink het.
I was not aware. I thought it was a housebreaking. We thought, my husband and I thought that someone was attacked in the house in the Silverwoods estate.
And what did you do, madam?
Die edele, ek het maar werk toe gegaan soos enige ander dag. Ek het toe ook 'n vriendin gebel op pad werk toe.
I went to work like with any other day, and I also called a friend on my way to work.
Yeah.
Die edele, my vriendin se kind is in die Silverwoods kleuterskool, so ek het haar gebel om vir haar te vra, kan sy asseblief uitvind wat het gebeur, en ek het haar die storie vertel.
My friend's child is in the Silverwoods
Nursery school.
nursery school, and I asked her if it's possible, if she could find out what happened.
And you also said you told her the story.
Dis reg, u edele, ek het vir haar die storie vertel.
That is correct. I told her the story.
What story did you tell her? Don't repeat the story, but what story did you tell her?
U edele, ek het haar vertel van die vrou se verskriklike gille en die skote.
My lady, I told her about the woman's terrible screams and the gunshots that I heard.
U edele, ek het vir haar gevra, ek wil hoor of iemand dood is en wat het gebeur.
I asked her, I want to find out if someone died
And what happened?
and what happened.
And then what happened further during this morning, madam?
U edele, ek het toe by die universiteit aangekom en ek het vir 'n kollega, Dr. Boshoff, gesien.
I arrived at the university and I saw a colleague, Dr. Boshoff.
U edele, ek het toe, ons het maar gesels soos elke oggend. Hy het gevra hoe gaan dit en ek het hom vertel van my slegte nag.
We talked like every morning, and I told him about the bad morning that I had.
Bad night.
Bad night. Apologies.
Yes.
U edele, ek het ook 'n ander kollega gesien, Vita Wilkins, en ek het vir haar ook vertel, ons het gesels in die oggend, ek het haar vertel van die huisbraak, wat ek toe gedink het huisbraak was, wat ek gehoor het.
Wat is die ander collega's naam?
Vita Wilkins.
I also saw another colleague, Vita Wilkins, and we talked, and I told her of the house breaking I thought took place the previous night.
Yes.
U edele, en ek het toe begin werk en later het my man my geskakel.
I started working, and then later on my husband called me.
Yes.
U edele, hy het vir my gevra of ek kan onthou wat die vorige aand gebeur het en ek het gesê natuurlik.
He asked me if I could remember what happened the previous night, and I said yes.
Edel en ek het hom toe vertel, soos wat ek het gehad het, soos wat ek aan die hof verduidelik het.
I then told him as I just explained to the court.
Die edelheid het vir my gesê, hy het nou net by die kantoor gehoor, hy het nou net agtergekom, meneer Oscar Pistorius is op die nuus en hulle sê, hy het gedink daar's 'n inbreker en toe het hy sy meisie doodgeskiet.
He then told me that at the office he just heard that Mr. Oscar Pistorius is on the news and he thought that there was an intruder and then he shot his girlfriend.
Just hold 1 minute.
Yes.
Is this just hold on?
Sorry?
This is not hearsay evidence.
Her husband will be a witness.
Will
Blake.
be.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Die edele, dit was toe op die nuus gewees, my man het toe eers die nuus agtergekom.
It was on the news and then my husband only then realized.
And when you heard that, what did you think?
Die edele, ek het vir my man gesê, dit kan nie wees nie, want dit rym nie met wat ons gehoor het nie.
I told my husband that it cannot be because it's not
Dis not wrong
It
with what
was-
we heard.
it's not what we heard.
Now, madam, how did it come about that you made a statement to the police?
Die edele, ek het eers later 'n verklaring afgelê, want ek woon nie in Silverwoods nie.
I only made a statement later on because I do not live in Silverwoods.
En ons was oortuig geweest daar sou mense in Silverwoods wees wat sou gehoor het, want dit was baie duidelik vir ons wat gebeur het.
And we thought that there would be people in Silverwoods that estate that heard
It would testify
that would testify
because we're not in that estate.
because we are not in that estate.
Yes.
Die edele, ek en my man het toe weggegaan tydens die voorverhoor en ons het die voorverhoor op die radio gehoor.
We went away during is it
Pre-trial
we went away during the pre-trial and
on the radio.
we heard of the pre-trial on the radio.
You referred to something as a pre-trial, but you heard a judgment on the radio.
Dis korrek, die edele.
That is correct.
Mm-hmm. And what
En
then?
die edele, op die radio het ons gehoor, daar word gepraat van 'n getuie wat 600 meter weg is. Ons het toe intussen agtergekom, ons woon nie te ver van meneer Pistorius nie, want daar was 'n ligfoto op die TV gewees van ons huis.
We heard on the radio of a witness that stays 600 meters far, and we then realized that we do not stay that far from Mr. Pistorius because we saw an aerial photo on the television of our house.
Yeah.
Die edele, verder by ons werke het almal toe nou besef hoe belangrik ons getuie is, want ons kollegas het gehoor van wat ons gedink het die huisbraak is, voor baie van ons geweet het, dis meneer Pistorius.
At our workplaces, we then realized how important our testimony is because our colleagues heard of the housebreaking before we knew
Dat het Mr. Pistorius.
before we knew that it was Mr. Pistorius.
And then what did you do?
Die edele, ons het toe probeer uitvind wat ons moet doen. Ons is nie eintlik media mense nie. Dit is vir ons erg om hier te wees. Ons is private mense.
We then tried to find out what we should do. We are not really media people. It's difficult for us to be here.
Die edele, ek het toe 'n prokureur gebel en ook 'n advokaat, Nikki Marits wat ek ken.
I then contacted an attorney as well as an advocate that I knew, Nikki Marits,
Die edele, om 'n advies te kry oor 'n verklaring. Hoe moet ons maak om 'n verklaring af te lê?
to get advice regarding the statement, how we should go about to give a statement.
Die edele, want ons het gehoor as ons na die polisiestasie toe gaan, dan die media op daardie stadium was baie erg. Ons wou dit privaat gehou het.
We heard that when we go to the police station, the media at that stage, it was
Very intense.
very intense, and we wanted to do it privately.
Die edele advokaat Marit het toe gesê ons moet ons verklaring so lank neerskryf en dan kan ons by mekaar kom. Maar voor dit gebeur het die polisie aan ons deur geklop een aand.
Advocate Marit told us that we should write down our statement and then thereafter we could get together. But before that, the police knocked on our door one evening.
And you made a statement with the police when they came back.
Die polisie was toe daar, hulle het met ons gepraat en hulle het gesê kaptein Mike van Aert sal 'n draai by ons maak om die verklaring af te neem.
The police was there and they talked to us, and then they informed us that Captain Mike van Aert will come to get the statement from us.
And did that happen?
Dit was so, kaptein van Aert het gekom en ek het eers het hy gekonsulteer met my man apart. Hy het sy verklaring afgelê en toe later met my.
That is correct. Captain van Aert was there. He firstly consulted with my husband separately and took the statement and then consulted with me.
Madam, there will be other witnesses in this matter. The Stip family. Did you know them before this incident?
Ek het hulle glad nie geken nie. Ek het hulle 'n week of 2 terug vir die eerste keer ontmoet.
I did not know them at all. I first met them about a week or 2 ago.
Net toe ek die hof besoek het om te sien hoe lyk die hof.
It was when I visited the court just to see how the court looks.
There also be the witnesses van der Merwes. Did you know them?
Ek het hulle nog nooit ontmoet nie. Ek het hulle vanoggend vir die eerste keer gesien.
I have never met them. I saw them the first time this morning.
My lady, it's 10 to 1. May I inconvenience the court and ask that we take an early lunch?
Yes.
Be back at 10 to 2. And I just want to go through the notes. I'm sure I'm done. I just want to go through the notes and then we can proceed from there, my lady.
Yes, thank you very much. There's no objection to this request?
I don't think it will help me, my lady, but no, thank you.
Very wise. Court will adjourn.
Right, we've heard the first bit of that testimony of Michelle Berger, who lives at Silverstream Estate, which is a neighbouring estate to the one in which Oscar Pistorius lives, known as the Silverwood Estate.
That's right. Just reminding you as well, in case you are wondering why we were not able to see the face of Michelle Berger, that is part of the conditions that were set down during the media application ahead of this particular trial, but we are able to take the audio from inside the courtroom. So in case you were wondering why we were not showing the witness, it is per the witness's request that their face not be shown. That's not to say every single witness won't be on television. It's only per each individual case. There's quite a lot to get through. We had the state's first witness answering questions from prosecutor Gerrie Nel, leading evidence. I think perhaps the big important part to recap on, this Michelle Berger saying that they woke up just after 3 o'clock in the morning and it was from a woman's terrible scream. Her husband then jumped up and ran to the balcony, and I think that corroborates what a lot of people have been saying about the time of the incident that took place at Oscar Pistorius' house. This Michelle Berger confirming it was 3 o'clock, according to their recollection, and it was because of screaming that they woke up.
Interestingly enough, she does mention that she also heard a man screaming for what she presumed was for help 3 times. She let her husband then contact a company of security guards. They then discovered the call had been made to the wrong security company. It was the security company from where they had previously lived. And so the screaming then goes on. She hears a woman screaming again, she says, more intensely this time, almost as though it reached a climax.
She also goes on to explaining in quite a bit of detail, and Gerrie Nel did try and ask her to elaborate, especially when it came to not the number of shots that were fired, the shots that were heard. We know that to be 4. In the submissions, both the prosecution and the defence have agreed there were 4 shots fired. However, this Michelle Berger explaining in court that the time between the first and the second shot was longer than between the second, the third, and the fourth. So there was a delay, according to this Michelle Berger, between the first and the second, while number 2, 3, and 4 were quite quick in succession. And she said that was very clear in the gap between, saying to the judge as well, she didn't have a stopwatch, but she can confirm that there was a gap between the first and the second shot fired that they heard.
That's right. She described it in trying to sort of emulate what actually happened that night. She said it sounded like bang, pause, bang, bang, bang. So we understand as well, after the man screamed, she says she didn't hear him again.
We're giving you these updates just in case you're wondering why the court has taken an early lunch. Prosecutor Gerrie Nel calling for an early lunch, the judge agreeing. So court has been adjourned for this break. It did start something of an hour and a half late. It was expected to get underway at 10 o'clock this morning. Just after 11:30 is when we had the court proceedings beginning as well. But back to the state's first witness. This is the first witness that we've heard of what is going to be potentially 107. Joanne, not to say all of them will be giving testimony, but this Michelle Berger also going on. And we weren't able to see this in court as per the court ruling, but this witness was shown aerial photos, which obviously inside the court on many of their screens they were able to see, to show the distance between Michelle Berger, the witness, her home, and that of Oscar Pistorius. Now, it's been confirmed that this Michelle Berger and her husband live 177 meters of a wood estate for Oscar Pistorius, but confirming the distance of 177 meters between them, these 2 different houses.
That's right. Of course, Michelle Berger goes on to say that the very next day she went off to work as normal, that at some point she related to a colleague of hers the events of the night before, still describing it at that point as a housebreaking, which she assumed it was. We then understand that she was in touch with her husband, who together with her commented on the events of the night before, and it only appears to dawn on her during the course of that day, firstly when they are engaging with other colleagues, and secondly when they are listening to media reports, that this might be related to the incident in which Oscar Pistorius shot Reva Steenkamp.
That's right, and then her decision after that, her and her husband, who's unnamed for the moment, we're expecting him to give testimony. We're told that he is expected to take the stand to corroborate her version, said that they then got hold of an attorney and an advocate to find out, rather to get advice on how to give a statement privately. They had now linked the incident that they had witnessed, or at least they had heard in the early hours of that morning, to the news items that they were watching that day. They felt it was the same thing, and they then chose to rather give a private statement, thinking they have something to add to this. They then contacted an attorney on how to do it privately, and that is the latest that we have on her particular testimony as well, before Gerrie Nel called for what seems to be an early lunch break by just a few minutes.
Right. Of course, just recapping what happened before that, we know that the list of admissions was read out before the court. That is what the prosecution and the defence agree upon. But some very strong statements made by Oscar Pistorius' advocate. One of them being that Hilton Botha's evidence was to be called into question, that the scene was contaminated, disturbed, and tampered with. And one of the other important points is this attempt by the state to bring in character evidence, which we know is not a norm in South African courtrooms. There's very little room for this unless it is directly relevant to any of the charges being brought. And the advocate going on to say the state is attempting to make inadmissible evidence admissible by listing a certain number of character witnesses. So it is now taking the line that it will object to that line of questioning as the prosecution proceeds. We're going to wrap it up for the day here at Newsday, bringing you the rest of the Oscar Pistorius trial when they come back from lunch.
Cheers for now. We'll see you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Good day everyone and welcome to the Weather Centre on this Monday. Let's start off with an overview of the day's weather on our futurecast. And the cold front that brought rain to the Cape Peninsula late yesterday is now spreading along the south coast of the country, and along with that we'll see rainfall spreading across those areas and reaching KwaZulu-Natal's coastal belt later on. It's going to be partly cloudy through the central parts. Thunder showers will be developing once again for those areas, but to the north of this, another very cloudy and wet day expected, particularly over Limpopo and Mpumalanga. Along with this, the South African Weather Service has issued a watch for the likelihood of heavy rainfall over these areas, and this may even lead to localized flooding in places, and those conditions are also expected over northeastern KwaZulu-Natal. Now, our rainfall probability map indicates widespread showers and thunder showers across those areas, as I've already mentioned, particularly in the second half of today along the eastern coastline. We're expecting isolated thunderstorms for Bloemfontein as well as towards Vryburg in the northwest province. East of this, scattered showers and thunder showers developing, including for some parts of the Eastern Cape. Rain along the south coast today. Things will gradually start clearing further westwards over the Overberg during the course of this afternoon. Now, maximum temperatures for today reflecting the areas that are affected by the cold front. Cooler across the southern portions of South Africa, lower 20s. Similar conditions on the Highveld due to the cloudy and wet weather across those areas. Sunny skies over the Northern Cape, allowing for temperatures to rise into the 30s, and it's also going to be hot and humid for Richards Bay ahead of the cooler weather later today. Now, a closer look at your detailed coastal forecast, and things are going to become windy along the west coast today. Fresh to strong winds expected, swells averaging at about 3 meters in the open ocean. And we're also expecting those fresh to strong winds to develop around the Cape Peninsula, up to 40 kilometers per hour for Table Bay this afternoon and this evening. And along with that, we're expecting a fairly elevated swell of 3.5 meters coming in from the southwest, 5 to 6 foot breakers along the shore. For the south coast, although we're expecting light winds and a fairly moderate swell of only 2.5 meters, the cloudy and wet weather will result in only a moderate to poor beach day across this area. And finally, along the east coast of the country, we're expecting fresh southwesterly winds at times for the Wild Coast and the south coast of KwaZulu-Natal. And although there's a northeasterly wind for much of the day in Richards Bay, we are expecting the southwester to push through later on. That's all from the Weather Centre. Enjoy your Monday.
Could there be a better way to retire? The neighbors are friendly. The sun is my alarm clock. Old Mutual let me experience what my dream retirement would look like. Owning my own game lodge. 40 years before it happens.
Everybody has dreams. Let us help you for yours from today.
Sanbonani, darlings. Here's a fast little message from Wonga.com, the leading loan site in Mzansi.
Get cash so splits. Visit Wonga.com. Use our sliders to decide how much you want to borrow and for how long. Fill out our easy online application form. We'll make a decision in a flash. Up to 2,500 Rand in your account. Is it a bird? Is it a plane?
Aipo, it's just Venega France.
For the fastest sliders in Mzansi, visit Wonga.com. Fast little look.
If it wasn't of legal wise, I would have been blacklisted. I had an initial contract with the service provider. I didn't receive everything that I was promised to. Then I was sent my bill. I didn't pay. Then I got a letter from their lawyers saying that I have to pay or I'll be taken to court. That's when I went to Legal Wise.
Send your SMS to join Legal Wise.
The network provider who's trying to get money from me illegally, don't talk to me, talk to Legal Wise.
Do you understand the charges, Mr. Pistorius?
I do, my lady.
How do you plead?
Not guilty, my lady.
Things are in English. Fortunately,
As a court pleases.
And there you have it. Oscar Pistorius pleads not guilty to charges of murder and all other charges against him.
The first witness in the trial claims she heard screaming on the night of the killing, followed by gunshots.
And the world media have packed the street outside the court for the trial.
Just gone 1 o'clock. This is ENCA. Also, a very good afternoon to our ETV viewers who join us. I'm Gareth Edwards.
I'm Joanne Joseph. Thank you very much for joining us. We've been following a story that's dominating headlines around the world today. And after an hour's delay, the most anticipated trial in years has begun in the North Gauteng High Court.
Oscar Pistorius has pleaded not guilty to all charges against him.
In that, upon or about 14 February 2013 and at or near 286 Bushvilla Street, Silverwoods Country Estate, Silver Lakes, in the district of Pretoria, the accused did unlawfully and intentionally kill a person, to wit, Riva Steenkamp, a 29-year-old female.
Yes. That is count one.
That's count one.
Yes. Do you understand the charges, Mr. Pistorius?
I do, my lady.
How do you plead?
Not guilty, my lady.
Thank you.
Well, Pistorius' legal team has read his plea statement where he has denied intentionally killing Riva Steenkamp.
Start the proceedings by asking that
State has contended that I unlawfully and intentionally killed Riva Steenkamp, hereinafter referred to as Riva. Paragraph 2. This allegation is denied in the strongest terms. In fact, at the time of the tragic accident which led to Riva's death, we were in a loving relationship. Paragraph 3. Whilst I admit that I inflicted the fatal gunshot wounds to Riva, this occurrence was indeed an accident in that I had mistakenly believed that an intruder or intruders had entered my home and posed an imminent threat to Riva and me.
Well, one of Oscar Pistorius' neighbours in an estate next door, Michelle Berger, was the first to testify. She says she and her husband heard screams on the night Riva Steenkamp died. She said these were then followed by gunshots.
Just after her scream, my lady, I heard 4 shots It was 4 gunshots that I heard. The time between the first and the fourth shot was much longer than between the second and the third one.
There were 4 shots. Could you perhaps give us a demonstration by using bum?
Bang. Bang, bang, bang.
There was a longer pause between number 1 and 2 than between number 2 and 3 and 3 and 4.
Well, it's probably the country's most publicised murder trial in at least 2 decades. And as expected, it's drawn huge media interest. Let's take a look at what happened before the trial began.
A rainy start to the murder trial of Oscar Pistorius at the North Gauteng High Court in Pretoria. But the weather didn't deter hundreds of journalists gathered outside. Local and international broadcasters have been staking out their positions outside the court since the weekend. First to arrive this morning was Riva Stenkamp's family. Riva's mother, June, is yet to come face-to-face with Oscar. Shortly after, Oscar's brother, Carl, and his sister, Amy, arrived. The 2 families are sitting on the same bench. And finally, the accused arrived. Only part of the trial will be watched on live television. The state has 107 witnesses who it could call to testify.
Well, let's get an update now from just outside the North Gauteng High Court. That's where we find our reporter, Kathy Mochaglana, who's been following this for us. Kathy, good day to you. Viewers having just joined us, bring us up to speed.
Well, good afternoon, Gareth. You know, proceedings here may have started late, but certainly at 11:30 when proceedings got underway, it was right down to business, not only from the reading of the serving of the official indictment against Oscar Pistorius, but also having him plea and the state actually calling up its first witness to take the stand. Now, somebody who's been watching these proceedings from inside court is reporter Annika Larson. Annika, let's first talk about the state witness, Michelle Berger, that's currently giving her testimony. She's a neighbor of Oscar's, except she lives in a different residence. What has come out of her statement so far?
Yes, Kathleen, a fairly a camera-shy witness. She didn't want to be seen on television and quite apprehensive at first. She said that she lives 177 meters away from Oscar Pistorius' house. Their bedroom window balcony looks onto his house, although they are in a separate housing estate. And she said she and her husband went to bed at the regular time between 9 and 10. At about 3 o'clock, she sat up in bed because she heard these terrified screams, a woman screaming. She then heard the screams intensify. She says they became blood-curdling. They were traumatic for her. She then heard a man scream for help 3 times, and after that, the screams reached a sort of crescendo, was the way she described it, and then there were 4 gunshots. The first and second gunshots were fast, and then there was a pause, quite a long pause, and then there was the third and fourth gunshot. So there was quite a long gap between the first round, if you like, and the second round. She said to her husband, "We've got to phone security here. There's a big problem. There's been somebody's house has been burgled." She said to her husband, "I hope to God that this poor woman who is being attacked hasn't witnessed her husband being shot, because there was no man's voice, according to her, after those gunshots." So that's been her evidence so far. She didn't realize it was Oscar Pistorius, he had any involvement. She was tired the next morning. She told her friends about this burglary, attempted housebreaking that she'd heard at a neighboring house, and she said she felt very traumatized by the whole event.
Annika, she also speaks in detail about her attempts to call security. Tell us what she said about the different security companies that she called to try and actually get help.
Well, I think what happened, it was quite difficult to hear that translation, but she said something to the effect of she tried to call her housing estate security, and then she realized that they had a different security. So she said to her husband, "No, we've called the wrong estate security, call another security." And in between there, she went back to bed and went back to the bedroom.
How long are we expecting her to be in the stand?
Look, I think there's going to be probably quite a brutal cross-examination.